Hi, y'all. Welcome back. Where you been? I know. Just kidding. It's Backstage Pass, and I'm your host, Toad Hall, and with us tonight, a young man, actually,
Thank you.
for an entrepreneur, I'll tell you.
I have some money for you.
Danny Zelisko of Evening Star Productions, someone who has survived in a rather rough jungle out there. It's a jungle out there.
It is.
How have you managed to stay afloat when some of the bigger boys, and I mean there have been some pretty heavyweight concert promoters in the country, how have you managed to keep out there in front?
Well, Toad, they got a little out of hand. You know, they had to get their wings clipped. And I think the public does that better than anybody else. Like, you know, there's an old line in showbiz: if they don't want to come, you can't stop them. And God knows that's happened to a lot of people.
See, really?
I meant to the show, you know.
Oh, I thought. Don't you read my mind?
No, I know. But yeah, it's rough, and a lot of the good guys end up coming back. And but what happens a lot of times in this business is you get carried away and you spread yourself too thin. Like, some might think that I spread myself too thin, but I don't think I have enough yet. We're going to Salt Lake City now, and Tucson, and Albuquerque, and Las Vegas, Santa Fe, New Mexico. We're doing a lot of shows in those markets, like 10, 15 shows a year outside of Phoenix and Tucson.
Yours, by most people's, you know, to the outsider, the people who buy the concert tickets, that go pay the bucks and die to get in, your life would seem to be a really glamorous life. I mean, the rock world, let's face it, is
no question.
Is written. It's all true, isn't it?
It is.
Tell us.
I'll tell you what, I wouldn't trade it with anybody. You know, I mean, I work with interesting people that set their own speeds, you know, and I get to sleep a little bit later than normal people do, and I mean, you know, not that that's normal.
I tried to call you at 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
No. I mean, I get in by 11:30 every day, but I mean, today, I mean, I haven't been home or had dinner yet, so I mean, it's, what, you know, it's glamorous.
I was at the Fleetwood Mac concert the other night out at Compton Terrace. I was...
Not an Evening Star event. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. What a... Anyway, I was talking to someone backstage, and all of a sudden it turned out to be Iggy Pop's son.
Son?
Yeah.
You bought it?
Well, I don't know. You know, I'm going to ask you because I understand you're
great friends with Iggy
Pop.
But I'm sure Iggy has sons all over the world.
Oh,
no, I don't.
This is just one of them. Huh?
Yeah.
Well, anyway, he claimed to be, and
you run into those types. Did he have a backstage pass on?
He had a backstage pass.
Okay.
Yeah, he did. He was
Good.
wearing a very much a backstage pass. What are some of the? I mean, people want to know. We want to know. You know, we're peering in, wanting to know what this glamorous life is like. People hear that these rock groups tear up hotels and everything like that. Do you have to deal with that a lot?
I'll tell you what. Yeah, you have to deal with that image. For instance, recently, I'll even say it. We had the Grateful Dead here in August, and they were looking to stay at the Point at South Mountain.
Mm-hmm.
And they called up and said, "We'd like to stay at your place. We've got some pictures." And they said no. So I called up and I said, "What is wrong with you? You got a new place here? I mean, you could be notorious. The Grateful Dead stayed in your place." And they said, "We're not worried about the Grateful Dead. We're worried about their fans wandering around and doing this, that, and the other thing." But things have changed a lot. You know, it's still rock and roll represents fun and games and, you know, getting crazy and partying and all that stuff. But everybody, as time goes on, as hard as it is to admit, is getting a little bit older, and they have other things in their mind besides staying up all night long and ruining hotel rooms and doing all that thing. They just soon go to the promoter's hotel room and room his promo, you know, his room. But that stuff doesn't happen as much anymore. It happens, you know, with some of the younger bands, and they get crazy and they're out there on the road eating dirt for money, and they get frustrated and nail a bed to the ceiling, you know.
It's nail a bed to the ceiling.
Keith Moon did that.
It seems like, in general, I noticed that concerts, the security has gotten a lot tighter. Is that true? I mean,
I think it's actually gotten looser from the standpoint that people know what's expected of them when they go to shows. And it's like you're going to somebody's place just because you bought a seat to sit there doesn't mean that you can just go totally berserk. You know, people that throw things at the stage are going to get thrown out. People that start fights or cut people's noses off are, you know, going to get thrown out. And that generally doesn't happen.
Just for cutting someone's nose off?
Yeah. That happened once.
Did it?
Yeah.
Who is
Not in this town.
Who is the strangest artist or group that you've ever worked with?
Ian Dury and the Blockheads.
Ian Dury?
You ever heard that song, Sex and Drugs and Rock and Roll?
Yeah.
The guy had filed his teeth into points. He had earrings coming out of earrings, and he was 70% paralyzed. So when he walked, he would drag his wonderful guy, perfect gentleman.
Yes.
Introduced him to my sister. My mom never spoke to me again. But,
you did introduce? I thought you said you should. You did introduce him to
yeah,
your sister?
Yeah.
And she liked him.
No,
Mom,
no.
look what I
No, I just introduced him.
I see. Tell us a little bit about Regular Guy. That's something that I know you...
It revolves around golf, and I remember to one rock star who started talking about golf, it almost ended his career. Luckily it didn't, but I'm not a rock star, so I can talk about it. I started playing golf in 1983 with a guy named John Kane, who was a keyboard player in Journey. It's one of my first guys that got me playing golf. And in 1984, I did a golf tournament called the First Annual Regular Guy Golf Tournament. And a lot of people have played in it, like Huey Lewis and John Kane's been in it, and this year some guys from Motley Crue and Charlie Daniels and all these guys are supposed to come down and play.
Only regular guys can play it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, the regular guydom is there's a lot to be said about regular guydom. A lot of guys are not regular guys. Some regular guys, I mean, will never, you know, they'll never, you know, insult a woman in public or you know, I mean, they're very regular in that regard, or they'll never do anything really out of bounds against a friend of theirs. And it has a lot to do with relationships, and anybody that gets into the thing must get past the regular guy, which is me.
Well, you are a regular guy, and we would like to have you
totally
come back
regular.
regularly to Backstage Pass.
I can sit here all night and, you know, and avoid all these trips.
Okay,
you know?
we can talk, but right now we got to pay some bills.
Oh, okay.
But we'll be back with more Backstage Pass. Don't.